When it comes to social interaction, there's no doubt that the whole area of lying and deception is a fascinating one. And this week, I've got an insight that highlights why doing it too much can actually affect the brain in a very negative way. My name is Jonathan Bradshaw, and welcome to this week's Metology Minute. This week's Metology Minute is based on behavioural research undertaken in the UK by psychologists at University College London. Now, I won't go into great detail as to the actual experiment I'm referring to. Suffice to say, it involved pairs of people and one of those people telling something that the other person didn't know to them and then being rewarded. Either they got rewarded or both of them got rewarded or the other person got rewarded. The mechanics and the specifics don't matter so much. Basically, the main insight I want to highlight that these psychologists found was that when the person telling the other person lied, exaggerated, their brain got used to it. It got desensitized. One of the articles I read on it said that as people's lies grew bolder, the more they lied. Brain scan reveals that the neuroactivity in the amygdala, the area of the brain related to emotional regulation, was affected quite badly. It became less active, it became desensitized, and the dishonesty grew. So it's a tiny part of the brain. We look at neuroscience here, the amygdala, an area that relates to a number of things, but emotional regulation. It seemed that the guilt, the shame, now they're my words, not the researchers, but the emotional reaction of lying became less and less as we did it. And I wonder if that's an interesting insight in terms of how you behave in your social life, potentially at the office. It can be easy to exaggerate, to lie, to be dishonest. So many of these things can have negative impacts. And if it gets easier for us, subconsciously, in many ways, the brain, we're not actively in control of how the amygdala works on a conscious level. But if it's becoming easier for us to behave in that way, I suggest that's probably not a good thing. So this week's insight, based on research, the link to which I'll put underneath the article on YouTube, is to beware about lying. It can be a slippery slope. The brain adapts when we lie. It gets desensitized. It's easier for us to do it without an emotional reaction that otherwise might prevent us doing so. So be aware this week of your behavior at work. And if that's something you're doing, maybe it's time to stop doing so. I'll be back in a week's time with another Metology Minute exploring the fascinating behavioural science powering world-class social skills. See you next week. Until then, from the US, take care. Bye-bye.